back in the day when they wanted to recruit me to whatever puzzle team or whatever thing is out there involving. Well, DeFango knows this guy that also approached me with some interesting offers. But one of the things was to have Robert David Steele on my show. And at the time, I didn't really know he was necessarily deep state or some kind of disinfo shill or anything like that. All I knew is that he'd been on InfoWars, and he'd been on a lot of other shows, and I wasn't interested. Basically, I didn't know what he would say or what he was trying to sell. So I never had him on my show. I wasn't interested. At the same time, I was offered a chance to be on the Victorious Libertas show, which coincidentally just had Robert David Steele on and got like 400,000 views. And he gives a shout out to that during the interview.
I don't need to understand the details, Manny. I'm up here at a meta level. I collect people, not code.
Oh, okay, understandable. I collect people with code, so I guess I'm on the meta.
Right, so
I'm on the meta level now, I guess. So, no worries.
Let me just finish what I was talking about.
Well, I figured since we can segue to this one, a friend of ours, Titus Frost or Dean Fugere, actually asked a question. His question was, RDS, who do the Zionists work for? The Vatican, the CIA were created by... Wait, let me rephrase this.
Okay, I think this is good too because he answers a question from Titus. I don't know. Do you guys want to hear more? Because it gets really good. People in the chat are saying it's staged. I don't think so. And we still don't know what happened to the money from the Unrigged campaign, which DeFango promoted when he decided to have Steele on the show. DeFango even says that Steele had him deleting comments. That's one part that hopefully doesn't get overlooked. He says, you even had me delete comment. Get out your popcorn. Sorry.
Always trying to connect me to you and say that we're running some sort of operation together or something. And, like I want to put it out there on live stream, while I'm talking to you is that, honestly, the only thing I've ever done is talk to Robert David Steele. And I've always seen it in the chat. I see trolls dropping info all the time talking about, oh, well, you're a CIA asset, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, Robert, you've been out of the CIA for how long now?
Well, Manny, let me address this at two levels. First off, you got in touch with me.
Yeah, I got in touch with you.
Very fine email, and I accepted your invitation to be interviewed, and I'm glad that I did. You are one of the least important of the people I interview with.
He went wrong.
Sarah Westphal, Victorious Libertas, The Common Sense Show.
That's where he went wrong,
Kevin
by the way.
Barrett, Jeff
Victorious Libertas.
France, Greg Hunter. Those are all more important than you are. Sorry, Manny, but you're down there.
Yeah, that's no problem. I mean, you're gonna keep going to those people that aren't really doing much. And it's been kind of funny, Robert. Like no, stop. I'm doing this live, and I'm just gonna do it now because I've been kind of topped off. It's just like lately, it just feels like there's been something off. I don't know if it's just the stress from the stress that you're having from this, lawsuit that you're going to be having to go through, or if it's going to...
I hear it's a fake lawsuit, by the way. Sorry to interrupt this. I hear it's a fake lawsuit.
We can actually look at his ridiculous complaint. How many lawyers have viewed this and said it's outright ridiculous, Queen Tut?
Well, I've run it by like two people I know who are attorneys. And just embarrassingly, I asked them, would you mind looking at this, and just give me your quick opinion? Both of those attorneys stated to me that they would be embarrassed to file this lawsuit. They would be embarrassed. And that was a joke. They couldn't believe that this was even being taken seriously and that an attorney was filing it.
Yeah. Now, did we ever determine how Mr. Stupid, Robert David Steele, figured out that triplicate damages equal $15 million, given that his most recently filed 990 tax, 990 EZ form for the Earth Unintelligence Network showed the total revenue at $25,553. Why isn't this a $75,000 lawsuit?
I think that is an excellent point. you're required to have at least $75,000 claim in order to get into federal court. And so I guess Robert needed to inflate it to 15 million.
Well, he never inflates anything, right? I mean, I guess unless it's the tires on his RV, I don't think he needs to inflate anything.
I don't need to understand the details, Manny. I'm up here at a meta level.
He just makes all kinds of wild claims, totally not based in fact. Children on Mars being just one of them. Although I don't know that claim is really, yeah, he said it with a straight face, Susie. We've got
it was straight face. It was a straight face.
Yeah.
It was serious.
Right. So he's got all kinds of claims in his stupid lawsuit here, his hashtag fake lawsuit. I mean, this is like a lawsuit written by a 12-year-old. It's quite stupid. Yep.
He just can't seem to escape it. He even hires attorneys that have been sanctioned by the bar and had their licenses pulled because of fraud. Okay?
Now let's explore that for a moment, Queen, because realistically, when we've spoken to lawyers, we've asked lawyers who are friends of the crowdsource community, we've asked lawyers that you know, we've asked lawyers that I know, what do you think about this hashtag fake lawsuit? And they all have literally laughed. I have heard multiple attorneys laugh. Now, Queen, what do you anticipate would happen to an attorney like Stephen Biss, who's been sanctioned in the past for bringing frivolous lawsuits, if he were to be sanctioned again? Do we know?
Well, I think his history comes into play here. You know,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, when you have a history, when an attorney has a history of pursuing and perpetuating and persisting in frivolous claims that take up the court's time, that becomes possibly, that's information that could be entered into the suit because of the history that he has. Now, one of the reasons why he was barred, like his license was taken away based on fraud, was also had to do with his persistence in keeping up this waste of time with the court. There's a relationship in persisting in, these kind of things. But it was basically the basic fraud that the that the bar decided on in terms of taking his license away. But, he does have a history of this in other cases. I mean, even after he had his license taken away, he continued to practice, which then he was sanctioned again for another 30 days. That's all on the Trello board.
It's amazing. I mean, you can't really make that up.
So the only reason why he would persist in this for any reason is because he's getting paid a lot of money. And it's worth it to him, I guess, to be sanctioned or take the risk to be sanctioned for a frivolous suit. He must be getting paid a lot of money.
Any further communication is going to have to be through Mr. Biss, who seems to also be a fraud himself or has engaged in fraud in the past, of course. I also think it's interesting to note that during this week, what did Crowdsource the Truth do other than wasting a lot of time writing letters to Stephen Biss and dealing with this hashtag fake lawsuit from a hashtag real idiot?
I am what I am. If you think
What do
I
you do?
work for CIA, I don't give a flying fuck.
Okay. I mean, that's just like kind of the whole thing, like I can hear the fluff and stuff, but it's just like, like actually with what you just said, man, you just kind of like put me off to ever wanting to interview you again. So I'm going to go ahead and end this call, bro. And honestly, I can't believe that you really went there. So honestly, ta-ta. What the fuck? Seriously? You guys know that I'm real as fuck. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, I'm real as fuck. But, I mean, the audacity on this guy to come on my show to talk to me after I've been giving him all the trouble, and the main source of heartache in my life is all because of this man. So, if I'm the least important person that this guy's gonna talk to, he's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, Robert, you're a fucking idiot. And everything that you've just said to me just basically has proven that I don't need to do anything more
What's
to
up?
help you
Well,
out
hold
in
on.
any fucking
Should
way.
I keep
Because
playing this?
after
Hold on.
you're
No, let's
clear,
Yeah, play it. It's
Okay.
funny as fuck.
clear manipulations and everything that I've had to deal with, I'm just like, fuck you, dude. And I'll go online and just say it. Because, you have issues with your people. But if you think that you can sit there and talk to me like that and act like I don't already fucking know everything that's going on with your situation, you could go eat a dick.
Eat a dick.
So, yeah, you know what? Honestly, Robert David Steele's a very, very interesting individual, but he's been a source of a lot of heartache. It was when I emailed him, but the only reason that I got in contact with him is because somebody else told me to go email him. And I'm going to give LTV some props there on this one because, he was just like, I had the same thing happen to me, but I
Thanks,
didn't
man.
interview him.
It happens. It happens when you make a splash somehow by solving some part of a puzzle or by making some sort of an impact, that you'll be approached to try to guide what you're talking about one way or the other. And that's, I believe, why I was contacted. This person was a nice person, watches my show, apparently is watching my show right now. So I'm not saying anything definitively, only that I was making some sort of an impact in the Q discussion. And after that happened, I was approached with some information out of nowhere. And I didn't go into much into it on the show or necessarily assume that it was totally legit. So I didn't put it out there because of the way, it was unsolicited information, unsolicited generous donation. So I'm skeptical of everything. And I was skeptical of Thomas when he contacted me back when I was in the middle of Pizzagate and the Hampstead child abuse case. I was approached by Thomas, who was a cryptographer, who also composes music. I was invited to a fancy house around here during that time, told that I was really awesome. This is when maybe I've had 30,000 subscribers on my main channel because I've been kicked off of it so often since last summer. So it's kind of when stuff was going on. Maybe people were watching the channel. Maybe I didn't realize that I was more popular than I thought I was. And I was approached to do something, but I never went to the meeting. I didn't like the way he communicated with me because it was only by email after I'd said over and over again that I hate to communicate by email and that it's going to be really slow and that he could contact me X, Y, Z ways. And it was refused every time. It stuck with email, and I finally just stopped emailing him and didn't follow up with the appointment because it pissed me off, and that was the kind of person I was back then. So that's why I think those two characters are related. One of the things that was pitched to me by that person was to have Robert David Steele on my show, which I found really suspicious because I hardly knew Robert David Steele at the time. I had no idea, though, why he'd want to be on my show or why I'd want him on my show, considering that when I looked around, he'd been on every other show, and I like to cover stuff that was different than what other people are talking about. And I wouldn't know the motivations for Robert David Steele coming on my show, except I assumed to try to sell books, which, again, I thought I had a pretty small audience, so I didn't know why that was going on. The other show he said he would get me an interview on this show, that just got kicked off the internet. Victorious Libertas, who had just popped up and become a new channel, subsequently became bigger than my channel, along with a lot of the interlopers who popped in. Ended up they've inserted themselves and they've developed a network since we started talking about them. Anyway, I was invited to be on that show.
Like, I didn't forget what we talked about back in the day, and I was like, cool. Like, I remember telling you very clearly, I was like, I get what you're saying. I was like, but I have to go through my process with these people. And, I was very, aware of what's going on. And, I don't, dislike Robert as a person, but, with what just happened there, it's like, I don't want people to, subvert my platform. But when people are asking you to delete comments and do all these other things that I'm just not going to do, I just stack that in my, side satchel for later. And when I was talking to him today, like I had reached out to him, he was talking about how he wanted to do a video. He was pissed off at Libertas Victoris because they just did a video about some like pedo shit that he didn't want to be out there
Really?
and promoted their channel.
There's a bunch of stuff to go over from what you said. I'm really interested in what he was mad that Victoris Libertas put out. Maybe I'll ask you that first, but there are a million things. What was he mad
the
about?
Victoris Libertas thing? That
Yeah.
was I spoke to him last night in an email because I was just like, hey, I was like, do you want to go up and talk? I don't have anything planned for tomorrow. And I was like, do you want to just chit chat? You know, nothing formal. Let's just talk. And he just was like, okay. Hey, he was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And he basically gave me like this huge email of stuff that he didn't want to talk about. And I'm just all like, well, no, I want to talk about all these things. And as I was going through the interview, I was asking him all the questions that he didn't want me to ask him. And you could see how he gets more angry throughout the interview.
Oh, that's why he was getting pissed off. He started getting into that thing. I'm up here. I'm meta. I don't need to get into the details with you, Defango. Man, okay. What was he mad about that Victoris Libertas did? Did you answer that question? You said they did some pedo thing that he objected
Well,
to?
they put out a video yesterday that was like kind of connecting, I guess, what Robert David Steele was saying. You know, with the adrenochrome. Do you remember the whole
Yeah.
Mars kid thing? And
Well,
then there was the adrenochrome thing.
Tell me about
Well,
the Mars kids, because get me up to speed on that. The adrenochrome I heard just from your show.
Yeah, so like on the he was talking about adrenochrome on my show, but I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago. He went on InfoWars, and it was when he was talking about, you know, them sending kids to Mars and then using them to like harvest adrenochrome and build a base on Mars. It was a really, really weird thing that he had said on InfoWars, and like previously I had asked him questions about it, and that's one of the things that, you know, ever since that point he hasn't really wanted to talk about that comment. Period. And I believe it was yesterday, that was what made me reach out to him, is that Libertas Victoris did a video yesterday, I believe it was, and it was kind of like talking about, you know, the QAnon stuff and how everybody's getting arrested and it's all happening right now. But they were utilizing Robert David Steele because he was talking, because like this is stuff that Robert David Steele had been talking about for at least the last year on the internet, saying that they're going to going after the pedophiles, that they were going to be doing this, that, and the other thing, even though we're not really seeing anything from the MSM, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, there seems to be things here and there on the internet that people are reporting on, but there's no tangible evidence.
Right,
Anywhere.
exactly.
And he said he was mad about that.
And people are saying it's fake, that everything was scripted. I'm telling them they're stupid. They're crazy. Well, how do you respond to that?
I was visibly angry.
Yeah, paid to play my ass. Hey, Steve Biss, it's Manuel Chavez.
Manny, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good, man. Hey, I know that, you know, we haven't talked in a while or whatever, but I had some situation happening with an idiot on the internet. His name's Unirock.
Yeah.
You know Unirock? He's been putting out some information.
That name came up yesterday or something. That guy Thomas sent me out of the blue an email, and he linked to the email some video that apparently this guy Unirock produced, and it's a video that has references me, references my wife, references all sorts of nonsense. You know, I deleted the email. I watched the video, deleted the email, and I stuck it in the I don't really give a shit category.
Copy. But now Unirock is, I guess, mad at me for some reason. So he's starting to create a narrative where he was like, well, look, these three guys all have the same lawyer. And I'm all like, well, everybody knows that. But like, that's like information that's information that's been out there forever. I was the person that told Holmesef to get in contact with you in the first place.
And last time I checked, I haven't paid you anything.
Yeah, last time I checked, we haven't paid each other anything. You haven't paid me anything. I mean, Tanya's donated on my channel, but Tanya's also donated on Unirock's channel and a host of other channels out there.
And you know something, Manny? I don't have anything to do with Tanya donating to anybody's channel. I don't know what she does. I don't have any. She does her own thing. I don't tell her who to donate. She donates to people who she likes and whose points of view she finds to be important or interesting. That's why she donates to people. I mean, she donates to lots of different people. Except Jason Goodman.
Except for Jason Goodman. That's somebody that nobody donates to, period.
But, this is just pathetic trolling.
I'm Nathan Stoltman. I'm your host. Over my shoulder is Doshi. Doshi 2020. Love more. Jerome Corsi. Big live stream today. I'm going to go ahead and just play what I was playing. Let me take a look at the super chat. Ami, thank you for the super chat. Q is a LARP. Seth Rich was already dead when the Podesta emails were written in August and leaked November 4th. Q is a LARP. Seth Rich was already dead when the Podesta emails were leaked. Lots of theories out there about Seth Rich. My working theory, well, I don't believe there was a murder where they said there was, otherwise we would have a body, a death certificate, an autopsy, ballistics reports, etc. Whether he's dead or not, hard to say. Q is something, but Jerome Corsi had quite a bit to do with Q. From all the stories we've heard, all the credible stories we've heard. Amy or Ami, thanks for the super chat. You were probably right about Seth being fake. Regarding Q, I have Pacer. There are no sealed indictments except for the normal ones. The 6 million indictments conspiracy theory. The 6 million indictments conspiracy theory, meaning that the indictments are not what you think they are. Where are the arrests? Weren't they supposed to happen on 11/11? Was it supposed to be yesterday that the deep state got rounded up? Is that what Q said? How many times did Jerome Corsi say shit was about to go down? Nobody can really find me. Ami, blessings. Gosh, Corsi, Butowski, Cy Hirsch are CIA to blame Seth for emails. CNN 2011, Trump talks about Pizzagate. It is on YouTube. They planned it for 2012, but delayed it until 2016. Don't know why. Corsi, Bukowski, Cy Hirsch. Yes, Cy Hirsch I definitely have questions about for sure. There was something called Pizzagate, where Donald Trump ate New York pizza with a knife and fork before the real Pizzagate, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thanks for the super chats. I got another super chat. I have the same person who definitely, I guess, has thoughts about Jerome Corsi. I'm trying to take out all the spaces from the link that was sent. I don't know how it was done with all those spaces in it in the first place, but I'm gonna go ahead and see what this video is. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks everybody who supports the show.